any kind of statistics in urban areas, and you'll see that there hasn't been much progress since the whole integration thing, right? And so it can't be about the songs. I had this one person commented that, you know, if all of these churches in all these areas were doing something for real for the people there, they would probably have been shut down. They would have tried to shut them down, right? And just a little history, think about the Black Panthers and all that they were doing, you know, and they were demonized. I mean, I grew up, you know, and I read about, no, they were actually just trying to do the right thing, you know, and actually, so I don't want to talk about guns and all that kind of stuff just yet, but, you know, the idea, in a sense, is really to just continue to put your efforts towards that which is life-affirming, and to start to think about what is true. How do I know it's true, right? Is it true because somebody said it was true? You know, what are the verification principles that I'm going to use to say that something is true? How am I going to balance competing truths, right? So for example, how do you know, how am I going to answer questions that seemingly have no answer, right? So for example, it's like, how much do you work on something before you give up, right? There's no real rational answer for that, right? There's something else that has to be involved in that decision. And so why do I mention that? Because people, at the end of the day, people are not really rational. And so, one, to try and use reason to get people to change is almost insane, right? Because they're not going to change on reason. But also, think about yourself as a person. What are the things that get me to do what I do? How did I get to do these things? What were the truths that I believed that drive what I do? So these. I know it's a lot, right? You know, you're talking about culture change, you're talking about music, art, politics, religion, what to say, what to name a meeting, you know. But again, it's about showing up. It's about a commitment to the conversation, commitment to knowing that you're changed in the conversation, commitment to knowing that by talking about these things continually, it will just start to come out of you, right? For example, what is one of the key tools for mind control? Begins with R. It's called repetition, right? And then so what are the things you're repeating in your life? What are the things you're doing over and over and over and over and over again? Are you aware of them, right? So for example, I use, you know, I make up little songs in my head to control my behavior, to control what happens in my head. So I've now learned that if I get, you know, so you ever got a song stuck in your head and it just keeps repeating it? So now I just say, what are you repeating? What are you repeating? What are you repeating? Why are you repeating it? Right? And I just say that over and over and over again. And then whatever it is, if it doesn't stop, it's limited in its impact to hit me, to control me. Because I recognize that the things that I'm repeating are things that are embedded in my cellular structure, so to speak. That song from, you know, 7th grade that you just can't, you know, that sometimes pops in, and then all this stuff from 7th grade floods in, like, whoa, I don't have anything to do with that, right? And so how do I go about transforming that energy into something more positive? Those are some of the things that I wanted to share today. To talk about prayer, to that which cannot be named without risk of damage to ourselves, we pray. You know, we pray for health, we pray healing. We pray for insight. We pray for, deliverance. We ask for help. But in all of that, I'm not saying the word you, not appealing to a you, because that which cannot be named, labeling it as a you, immediately brings it into a kind of relationship that is not like the relationship I have with Milton or the kids, and that kind of control is not there. There's no control of that which can't be named. There's no control of the source that comes in and makes all of this possible. We can relate to it, we can move with it, but we don't control it. The legacy of this church to be a force of cultural change in a time where cultural change requires a different kind of a mindset. It requires a kind of commitment that requires one to be tapped into mystery. I don't think it's possible to do on a I'm gonna go read a book and go find a book. There's just too much information out there. You'd never take any one topic, poverty, and you could spend the rest of your life reading books on it. Take education, take finance, but the point is to recognize that these topics, the topic of religion, the topic of truth, the topic of how we relate, influence, what are the tools of influence, right? What are the tools of persuasion? Are we talking about those on a consistent basis, right? If we know that agreement with other people is important, what are the techniques that we're using on a day-to-day basis that are, helping us bring other people into agreement with us? Or are we just having, a conversation and thinking that, I'm going to talk to you and it's just going to happen, right? So these are kind of like all of the ideas to organize, to be a force that makes a difference in an era where those same techniques are being used to get you to do things that are not life-affirming for you, if not life-affirming for someone else. So that's what I wanted to share, and I'm open to questions, concerns, comments, interests.